hoping that many of you will share our conviction that local food is a really good thing. It helps our economy, our environment, and our quality of life by reducing food miles, avoiding risks associated with a globalized food system, and keeping food dollars in the local economy where they will multiply. One estimate I've read is that simply by replacing imports with locally produced beef and lamb, and currently over 90% of beef consumed in Nova Scotia is imported, we could add $99 million to the ailing Nova Scotian economy and create over 2,000 jobs. So that's some numbers for those of you who like numbers. So we felt strongly that local food was really important, and we hoped that other people in our community did too, so we decided to create a survey to find out. Really quickly, over 1,000 people ended up filling out the survey. The overwhelming response was yes, people here want to buy more local food, and they are willing to change their current shopping habits to do so. We also know that we can grow food here. We have abundant, underutilized farmland, and we have the skills and the knowledge to work that land sustainably. After all, it was only a few generations ago that most of the food we ate was produced close to where we live. However, we feel that if we don't act now, we're in danger of losing those resources, and potentially forever. So we know we want local food, we know we can grow it here, so why is it that only 13% of our food dollars actually make it back to Nova Scotian farmers? So this is the question that as a group we've been trying to address over the last few years. So we did interviews with stakeholders, we ran a couple of surveys, and then we did our pilot program last year. And through that fact-finding, we came up with some barriers. The producers identified a lack of predictable and consistent demand for their products. They felt they lacked the time and skills needed in order to do sales, marketing, and administration, and they felt they had a lack of a reliable labor force. So on the consumer side of things, they say they see a lack of consistent and predictable supply, which is interesting. They might lack knowledge of what is actually produced locally or where to get it, and even if they do know what and where, the getting it is still really inconvenient, and there seems to be a lot of confusion and misperceptions around pricing for local food. How much should it cost? Is it always way more expensive? This sort of thing. For wholesalers, and I'm talking about people like restaurants or institutions like hospitals or schools, the major barriers are the time and expense of trying to contact, coordinate with, and pay a whole lot of small producers, navigating inconsistent supply and pricing, and low margins. And those are similar issues to people who are operating food hubs or trying to distribute local food, low margins, and logistical administrative nightmares, basically. So, we'd like to present a solution, or at least the start of a solution. It's called Our Food Store. So in order to bridge that gap between our ability to produce food and our desire to consume local food, our volunteer group worked with Reed Business Services, aka Lisa, to create the Our Food Store website. So it's basically online, community-supported local grocery. So, how does it work? For consumers, you order your fresh food bag. You can get it small, medium, or large. You can order it from your phone even, anytime up until Sunday at midnight for a Wednesday afternoon pickup between 3:30 and 6 p.m. at the CACL. The producers let us know what they have available each week, usually after the Saturday market. We order food from them on Monday according to the number of bags that have been ordered. And then the food is dropped off at the CACL Wednesday morning to be sorted and packed for afternoon pickup. So the content of the bags varies from week to week. You don't know in advance what you're going to get. We're going with what produce is available as the season changes. And you can also order add-ons like locally produced honey, bread from Eastings or CACL Bakery. And this year we're really excited to be adding meats and cheeses. So if anyone doesn't know the CACL, they're a really wonderful local organization that help people with disabilities find employment, meaningful employment in their communities. So we're really excited to be working closely with them. So, we launched our foodstore.com last year, and how did it go? Well, despite only 3 weeks of planning and intentionally not advertising, in just a few short weeks, we well exceeded our expectations. Over $12,000 worth of local food was purchased from over 30 small producers, some producing for the first time and looking to expand this year. We employed 2 clients of the CACL at fair market wages, and we sold the community over 500 bags of fresh local produce. And over 95% of the customers we surveyed have said that they will definitely be ordering again. We got a lot of really positive feedback, and I'm afraid I'm going to have to skip over a lot of it because we don't have much time, but basically people were really excited about the freshness and the quality of the food, the variety and quantity of vegetables in their lives, how easy it was to order, the fact that they're supporting local producers and the CACL and their community at the same time. So, for this year, we're looking to expand the program considerably and finally let the rest of the community know what we're up to. So we're going to launch this week, the first week of July, and we're going to be expanding the add-on offerings, as I mentioned, to include local meats and cheeses. We're going to hopefully increase our volume of sales threefold. So we're going to start advertising and promoting to get new customers in. We're also going to start working with a few restaurants and one daycare, sort of a pilot program. But our other big focus this year is going to be on software development to create a fully functional food hub and CSA management software suite. So Food Hub is sort of like a regional distribution center for local food. So why we think this is going to work? Food hubs traditionally have difficulty being self-sustaining. Some people suggest that over $1 million in sales needs to pass through a food hub before it can be profitable. However, we're hoping, thanks to Lisa and Reed Business, by automating the processes and improving efficiencies with technology, we're hoping to bring that number way down. Through a unique aggregation solution and by connecting food hubs across the region with this software we're creating, we can make it possible for wholesale buyers to purchase food locally, reduce food waste, and increase the variety and quantities of local food consumption. For example, we'll have access to excess apples produced in the valley to sell here, or if we're producing excess carrots, we can send them to Cape Breton where maybe they have a shortage. Those are just random examples, obviously. So the technology is also allowing us to gather and report local food data that can be used by producers to plan their crops, by distributors to sort of see where they need to work on things, and by local food advocates to further their research and policy development. Because one thing we've discovered is that it's really hard to get real numbers about what's happening around local food in Nova Scotia. So this is why we think it's going to help, those barriers that we were talking about earlier. For producers, it's going to cut way down on the time spent on sales and marketing. We're going to simplify the process and give them access to multiple markets in one go. And we're going to give them access to information that's really going to help them with crop planning, labor resources, and accounting. For consumers, it's one-stop shopping with access to multiple products and producers, super convenient ordering and payment options. Plus, it's going to be a place to learn a lot more about local food, tips on what to do with it, how to cook it and store it, plus who's producing it and how they're producing it, because we're going to have lots of producer profiles and social media and blog stories talking about these producers. For wholesalers, we're going to offer a single point of access to several producers, streamlined payments, access to other food hubs, and online visibility as a supporter of local food. So we're hoping after a few years it's going to be possible for schools and hospitals to start ordering local food through us. And for the community, we're hoping it's going to increase access to affordable, healthy local food, start to replace some of those imports we mentioned, boosting the local economy, creating jobs for community members, supporting low-income members through different social enterprise, creation of and access to those food statistics we're talking about, and hopefully make Antigonish a leader in the local food movement. And believe it or not, this is just the beginning of our plans. So we've been talking about phase one, basically. So stepping up the online grocery store, developing the software for the food hub and CSA. Phase two, we hope to secure a permanent location for the food hub, so warehousing, a commercial kitchen, which would help us to preserve the harvest through processing, canning, and freezing, and labor coordination. We basically like to start an agricultural temp agency. And phase 3, we're really excited about. We'd like to have our own production site. So a place that we can be producing food for the hub and maybe filling in some gaps in production, but also doing research and testing around season extension, which is a really big deal for producers in Nova Scotia, and doing workshops and training. So if you like the sounds of what we're trying to get going here and want to get involved, you can start ordering from the food store. You can start selling food to the food store. We think we've got Dave talked into next year anyway. Volunteer with us. You can contact Lisa or I to get involved. Check out our website, ourfoodstore.com. Support people who are supporting local food, local restaurants, stores, farmers markets, anywhere that local food is bought and sold. Talk to your representatives about why you think local food is important, and basically try to tell everybody you know, your neighbors, your friends, your family, that local food is an important issue and they should get behind it. Thank you very much.